Hi, Tom Rankin from Sense. Today I would like to talk a little bit about the role that the knee plays in walking. Walking, like most movements, is an interplay of stability and mobility. In order for the leg to mobilize and swing forward freely, the other leg has to provide stability. And the knee plays different roles depending on if you're mobilizing the leg to move or stabilizing the leg so you can move. Let's take a closer look at the knee joint. The joint is an articulation of bones, and as we can see here, the knee joint is made up of the bottom bone here, the tibia, and then the bone above it, which is the femur. Now, between the tibia and the femur is the kneecap or the patella. That's an interesting story all by itself, and we may discuss that at a later time. Also, making up the lower leg is another little bone that runs parallel to the tibia called the fibula. And we'll talk about the role of the fibula later. But right now we're going to focus on the knee and the motions of the knee. The knee is a very simple hinge joint. As you can see, it hinges backwards to bring the lower leg and the foot back, and then it straightens out again to bring it forward. That's the primary motion of the knee joint. There's very tiny bit movement in the other direction, which we call hyperextension. You may have heard the expression, don't lock out your knees. Well, locking out your knees is hyperextending your knees. And this way, resting the weight of your bones in this way could put some stress on your knees. So that's why physical therapists and doctors are careful to tell you not to hyperextend your knees. The knee does not have much rotation. This we call torque. And a torque on the knee could damage the ligaments of the knee. Another movement that is very limited in the knee is a side bending movement like this. So because the knee is such a simple hinge, it is susceptible to be injured in things like football or soccer. If you plant one leg hard and somebody slides into it and hits it, you can see how it could create a torque that could damage the ligaments inside the knee. We're going to look at how we utilize the knee in mobilizing the leg to bring it forward. And people do this many different ways. But this provides an opportunity for the knee to bend. And as you see the knee bend, the heel can come up. The weight shifts toward the ball of the foot. Right, and then you can step forward. Now, some people don't really bend their knees much. And you can see if we don't bend the knees much and kind of bring the leg forward, you don't really see the movement in the foot. There's no differentiation in the foot. It kind of stays in the same place. And this is known as walking flat-footed. So it really is important to get the feeling of the knee bending forward and feeling the articulation of the foot, the differentiation of the foot, and how the bending forward of the knee can lift up the heel. And then you would lift the ball of the foot and the toes off the ground. Now, the important thing about this, if we tend to walk flat-footed and we're not really lifting up our foot, so if there's something in the way that you're not aware of and you're not lifting up your foot, it's easier for you to trip and fall. So this movement of bending the knee and lifting the heel, now if there's something in the way, all you need to do is bend a little more and you can clear it with your foot. Your foot's already part way up, so it's easily just to lift it more and clear the object. Now there's another big role that's played by the bending of the knee. And to do that, we're going to have to move the computer a little. When you bend the one knee, there's an opportunity to shift your weight over to the other knee. So as this knee bends and as you mobilize the one leg, now you can find, let's make sure his knee doesn't hyperextend. Now you can find how you find stability in the other leg to hold you up. And let's talk about this other leg and finding stability on this other leg. What we're looking for when we're looking to get stability in order to lift and bring the other leg forward is aligning these bones in a good position. The skeleton has three functions. One function is to store calcium. Another one, it acts as a lever so your muscles can move it to create movement. But the third function we don't talk about much, and it's equally as important, and it acts as an anti-gravity device. So if you align the lower leg bone with the upper leg bone, there's an opportunity to feel a lift from the ground. You push into the ground and the ground pushes up on you. And if the bones are aligned, like you can see now, you can see the force going up toward the hip joint. You can see that upward. But if you have the knee bent, then the upward force you can see isn't going up through the knee joint into the hip. It's kind of moving the knee more forward. So if the bones aren't aligned well, the muscles have to work to stabilize you. Because the bones aren't stabilizing you, they're not able to. With these bones out of alignment, you're not going to get stability here. So these other structures of your body have to work harder to stabilize you and keep you from falling. So that's the importance of aligning the bones together. And again, we're not looking for hyperextended discs. We're not looking on locking the knee out. That's too much the other way. We're looking for the alignment so you can feel one knee aligned over the other knee. So when you're bending the one leg and your leg shifts over, you can feel your heel contacting the ground, and you feel the connection from the heel through the knee joint up into the hip, pushing you upward a little bit. And that's why when people shift their weight, and I'll show this standing, when people shift their weight on one leg, if they're aligning their skeleton well, they get a little taller. And we'll do that now. Let's see if we can show what that looks like. If I do the movement that I just showed on the skeleton of bending the left knee, feeling my weight shift to the right, and if I can find the alignment of my skeleton, and you may be able to see it, I get a little taller over the right leg. From the middle position, bend the knee, find support with the right leg, and I can feel a little bit of the lift. Now on the other side, if I keep my knee bent, you can see this is different. And not only am I not getting taller, but it looks like I'm swaying over to the side a little bit more. And what I'm feeling is muscles having to work more. Because I'm not finding the alignment from the heel through the knee to hip and the pressing upward. Now I did a little differently finding the alignment. I can feel myself getting taller and I feel the muscles not having to work as much. A nice little movement you can do to get the feeling of this is bending one knee and feeling how the bending of the knee shifts your weight, and try to find the alignment so you can feel the connection from the heel through the knee, the hip, through the pelvis, all the way up the spine to your head. And then try the other side. Now what I like to add to this is as I bend the knee and find the support on my right leg, can I let this other leg go and not hold it? Finding support on the heel. Right knee can bend. I can let go of this. And I'll feel my pelvis kind of drop a little and even out. So bending the left leg. And if I'm not letting go of the left leg, you may see my left hand may be a little higher than the right. But once I let go and soften that side, you can see the two hands here. Again, bending the right knee. Feeling support from the left leg. And then letting the right leg soften. And if I'm pushing a little with the right leg, you can see how that side's a little higher. If I let it soften, you can see my pelvis dropping on this side and evening out. Once you get the feeling of doing that, then you can turn it into a little walking in place exercise. And only things you're going to think about is bending the knee forward and noticing how that shifts your weight. When you bend the knee, you feel your weight shifting to the other side. And then seeing if you can find the outside of the heel. And finding the support in such a way that you feel that you don't lose height, or maybe you get a little bit taller. As you get more comfortable with the exercise, you can start to lift the knee a little bit more. And the more you lift the knee, if you feel unsteady, you can hold on to something for balance. But now you'll just notice as you lift the knee, how you get flexion and extension in your hip joint. And this is a great way to kind of warm up for walking. I like to talk about one more concept, which is gluteal amnesia. And that's basically the rear end or the gluteal muscles not firing, not contracting. And the reason for that is the way that we walk. It's not that these muscles are forgetting to work, it's that the movement pattern of your walking is not creating a condition where the glutes can work effectively. And I'm going to kind of show you what I mean. So if I'm walking with my hips flexed a little bit, my knees bent, and I don't let the legs straighten, and I'll show this on the skeleton, I'm not getting any hip extension. So, in contrast in that, if I let the knee straighten, let my legs straighten, now I have hip extension. So in order for the glutes to be able to work, as you shift your weight forward and find support on the leg, the knee needs to straighten. If the knee is bent, the hip stays flexed. So in order to create the conditions where your glutes can fire and help you, you need to think about finding support from the heel, straightening the knee so you can feel the force going up through the hip. And once you feel this, now your glutes can work to help extend the leg. And as you create this, what you're going to find out is your walking not only becomes much easier, but it becomes more pleasurable. In order to extend the hip joints so the glutes can work, the knee needs to straighten so the leg can straighten and go backwards. And now you can see extension in the hip joint. And as the hip is free to extend, the glutes can really start working. Now they're in a position where you can fire those glutes, contract those glutes to help with the walking. So it's interesting. We think about pushing ourselves forward walking, but we could actually kind of pull ourselves forward walking from using the glutes, feeling the legs straighten, the hip open, the glutes fire, and you can see as this happens, your weight shifts forward.